Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igaga, and as you can see, I'm just about to whip a guy called Stefan's behind. I can't say the other word, so I'm going to make sure I keep it clean. Now, we're here at the Pearl of Africa Hotel, and today we're talking about losing a loved one. We've all lost somebody we love, but according to Chris, sometimes you can lose an enemy. And if you do, then it's a reason to celebrate. Today, we have a guest who is not a stranger to men, but he's also a man. So he is going to tell us a few things about losing a loved one. Bill, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me back. I'm glad to be back.
Great to have you here. Now,
Yes.
I need to know, have you lost somebody who's really, really dear to you?
Yes, I have. Actually, I think about 2 years ago, I lost an auntie who was more like a mother to me. So it was quite a terrible experience, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has not been so lucky not to lose a loved one. I think death doesn't discriminate.
Yeah.
All of us have been there, handled it differently, though. I think that the thing is, how do you handle it after you've lost a person? That
Yeah.
is where we differ. But
Okay.
in loss, I think loss is
Is a loss.
it's been everywhere with everyone.
Okay. When we talk about handling a loss, very many times people say, "Oh, you know what? I'm sorry for your loss. I know what you're going through." But Stefan, can you really know what somebody's going through?
I think no one can know how somebody's feeling. You cannot quantify the feelings of someone. But you know, as men, we are conditioned to not to feel pain. So since time immemorial, a man is supposed to be a man.
Yeah.
You're supposed to persevere. So society has conditioned us from when you're kids to persevere. So we just bottle it in, as guys. Yeah.
All right. Chris.
Stefan, I want to see you beat Peter. So
Andrew is there.
No, let him break again because he was busy saying, "Oh, how can you break like that?"
He's getting you talking and you're not beating him.
Yeah,
No, it's all right. We already know how this is going to end. So, Chris, tell us,
this is going to be horrible.
losing a loved one, is there a formula
To what?
to dealing with it? Because everybody says, "Oh, I understand your loss." Reality is, you don't know. Every loss is different.
No, first, I don't know whether every loss is different. Because I'm wondering whether... I really don't think that one can say every loss is different. I think one can... there goes Stefan, you're losing. That's a loss right there.
I know how to deal with loss.
Yeah. No, but really, my thinking is that it's not like every loss is different, but what really counts is how close the person is. Maybe that's what you mean. I mean, the truth is that if some people die, because you're not very close to them, it doesn't really matter.
True.
And then others, when they do, it really, really hurts you because what really counts is the memories you have with people. How close you are with them, what you're going to miss about them. Every time you look in the coffin of a friend or a parent or someone who was very close. One of the people who hurt me the most when he passed was my grandfather, my mom's dad. He was kind of like a father to me as well. I did spend quite some time with him. And he'd been bedridden 7 years. He had all these organ things going on with him. But since he didn't die in the 7 years, I kind of believed he's not going to die. So
it kind of prepared you.
Yeah, he gets into a coma. We're like, the usual thing is going to come out. So we went to hospital, Mengo Hospital, and then the guy dies. And they put the body in the coffin, and I was one of the, what do they call it? The pallbearers, right?
Yeah.
And he was in a glass coffin, and I turned to the body. I said, because I was at the head, I was like, Grandpa, just get up. Let's get out of this stuff. Let's go. Yeah. And he was non-responsive. It took me a while until I saw the coffin being lowered.
Yeah, that's
into the grave. Is when I believed he was dead, and then I just felt like my heart is being torn in two. And the truth is that you really can't say you understand someone's pain.
Yeah.
But I guess one of the things that's tough for men is to cry.
Very true.
You know, because we suck it in and all that.
Yeah.
But it helps if we cry. I mean, I've seen guys cry. There's a time, I don't even know whether we should talk about men who cry. But, you know, there's a former prime minister when he lost his wife. The guy was crying like a baby. Like, oh, she's been treating me like a firstborn and all that and all that. But you see the guy, he got it out and he recovered. But when you suck it in.
But you know, you've just raised something very interesting.
Yeah.
So does it mean that there's a different kind of pain? Because is there pain that you can be prepared for? Like somebody is sick, they are, what do you call it, they're unwell for some time, then eventually they pass away. Or you can be in a situation like where one of our top musicians recently, you're just living your life and then bam, it's cut short. Now, which is actually easier to deal with?
No, Peter, look, I think, really, I think that I don't know any society where people are ready for death. It seems to always come like a shock. Even when you know someone has been bedridden, or it's a car accident or whatever it is, it's always shocking because there is no familiarity with someone passing.
You know,
at least from how I see
it. It's easier when you know that someone is going to pass away, I think, than than waking up in the morning.
His situation was different. With his grandfather.
Yeah. I think it prepares you.
It
prepares you for the circumstances.
Stefan, I don't know whether you get used to it. It's not easier. Yeah.
When someone is in hospital and you see the doctors, people need to learn, I think, body language of doctors. You can always tell. They won't say it to you, but you will see they have these eyes of, we don't think this person is going to make it. It's not easier. Death, of course, is someone's not coming back. This is the end. Everything ends with death. You're not ready. It's not like you can be ready for it or it's going to be easier. But somehow when you're seeing the person and things they're telling you this is going wrong, this is going wrong.
I beg to differ, and I'll tell you why. You see, by the time, that's why people sell everything they own. They put the entire fortune.
Treat a loved one.
Yeah, to treat a loved one. Because at the back of your mind, you're hoping against hopes, that they'll get better. You're not doing it saying, hey, you know what, they might, otherwise you might as well not do it.
No, but you see, the rationale to that is you have to try. You see, human beings, we have hope. You always have, even when they tell you, this is a terminal case.
And that's why death is shocking. Because every single day, I mean, I'll give you another example. 2010, my father-in-law, who I really, really loved, was unwell. He had a heart condition, and then a clot or something got to the brain, and then they had to do an open brain surgery. And you know when you're treating opposites, you want they're treating clots to stop in the heart, but that makes the blood looser.
Yes.
And then they're treating the brain to heal so that he can recover. So you need clotting for the healing process. So we're treating two different directions. But we were at it for 6 months, right? And every single day we never gave up. We got to a point where the doctors literally stopped treating us. In Mulago, I mean, the guy was out of coma and back and in and back. And we got to a point where they were not treating us. They were like, whatever. So we actually then got a small hospital, like a small clinic in one of the rooms back home. And we had nurses on duty night and day and things like that, and he was still around, all right? But the day he passed, I mean, I will never forget that knock at our door. We had that knock, and it's not the kids, because we're just us and the guys who are caretaking. We had that knock, and it wasn't the kids. And we're like, is it that day? And we opened the door, and the guy says, looks like he's not responding. He was trying to prepare us, and we walk across, and he says, looks like he's gone. But I tell you what, it was still shocking. I drove out of the home, and I rushed to the nearby hospital, and I wanted to get a medic to come and check if they can resuscitate him.
Yeah.
But Colin, it's different. Waking up one day and someone tells you that this guy has passed away, and then waking up one day and you take this guy to hospital, you keep going there, the doctors keep telling you that, you know, his situation is worsening. It prepares you. It literally prepares you.
I think there is a big difference between losing somebody and either losing them abruptly because you're shocked and then you get shocked, so you're mixing shock and the pain, or there's even when someone is murdered, when someone dies unfairly. So that the feeling there is not even, it's not shock, it's anger. It's this rage where he's Chris. So there's this rage, right? Which you feel like you want to have justice done. So on top of losing, the pain of losing somebody, there's other things that are coming with it.
Okay.
Right?
Sure.
So I think we should be careful about mixing these things.
What we are saying is that gradual pain. You know, if you're gradually, you know, given like bad news, is it better?
No.
I think it's better. You know, it
prepares you.
You guys,
it prepares
You can never be
yeah.
prepared.
You can
Listen,
you can be prepared for pain. Honestly.
you know when you're going to get a snake bite, if it is slow, does it make the venom any less effective than if it's quick?
Guys, let's be honest. You know, if they tell you today that let's be realistic. If,
So they ask you, how do you want
your
to
girlfriend tells you today that, you know, I will dump you
forget girlfriend
in a year's time? No, yeah, in a year's time.
That's better than
Will
being
you
numb.
prepare? You
No,
You
look, it
prepare
depends
yourself.
it depends on the kind of relationship you have.
your chick dumps you today.
If you give me a
and then-
year's notice, I could say, why don't we start now? Because
But Stefan, you know,
there's no loss.
Chris has mentioned something very interesting. You see, the reality is when you're dealing with a loss, you're actually not even dealing with the loss because you know that person's gone. Death is the one thing that we're guaranteed of in life. However, you're dealing with emotions.
Yeah.
It's now a matter of emotions. Now, if somebody is 90 years old, say my grandfather is 90 years old, first of all, they are not even my first line of relatives because I have my parents and I've got my grandparents. I have seen my grandfather grow up until everybody's like, this guy really has done his time. And then he falls sick, he's in and out of sickness, then eventually he dies. I'll be sad because I am going to miss him. That's the emotion that I'm dealing with.
Yes.
But if somebody is murdered, somebody who is younger than me, somebody who I was seeing who had a bright future, had a lot to do, now the emotion
Radio,
I feel,
Mose.
yes, is not more
it's not
like-
just the pain.
The pain, yes.
It's a combination. You have a combo with it.
yeah.
I think there's
So-
even a research that
So hold on. Now, what we're going to do is this. So one of the things I think we all agree is that it's an emotion and it's pain.
Yes.
The most important thing about life is how do you deal with it? Now we're going to get to that as soon as we come back from the break. Now we are here at the Pearl of Africa Hotel talking about losing a loved one. How do you handle your pain? As a man, do you just suck it in, as Stefan says, or do you lose it and just belt it all out? Welcome back from the break. In case you have just joined us, we are here at the Pearl of Africa Hotel talking about losing a loved one. Now, when we went into the break, we were talking about the different kinds of losses and the emotions that you feel. Now, gentlemen, how do we deal with the problem? It has happened.
Peter, first of all, deal with the white ball that's under there.
That's
'cause
the
This
first
guy is
thing
going
is
down.
Stefan is losing.
I'm not just going to,
you know, he's
Yeah.
losing. Look at the balls. He's losing. How do you deal with this?
I warned you, this is going to be bad.
Yeah, but so how do you deal with it?
Yeah. I think you should not try to be a man and you should look for a support system because we all need somebody. But it's very easy to be like Stefan and say you just suck it in and you deal with it. That will break you.
But you know, like I told you
Sorry,
the first time, men have been conditioned to deal with pain. Since time immemorial, what do you do?
He's losing.
It was intentional.
Men,
He's not being a man right now.
I'm sucking it in.
men have been conditioned to deal with pain. You know, men don't cry. You know, I'll give you an example of a research that was done by Capital Firm Nairobi, where they would give money to random men and ask them to call their dads and tell them that they love them. No one passed the test. No one could call, their dad and tell this guy that I love you. Men have been periodically, since time immemorial, have been, groomed to be hard. Men don't show emotion, and eventually, at the end of the day, when a man breaks down, it's really bad. And I feel like women know how to deal with pain better than men.
No, I would maybe to add on to what he's saying, or to disagree or give another angle. I don't think we've been preconditioned to handle pain. I think we're just preconditioned to hide our emotions, because I believe that men are very emotional. To me, I believe that men are more emotional than women. We can argue about this.
Men from your tribe.
But no. Like seriously, I believe you see, just like in a relationship, a man can be messed up by one girl and 20 girls will suffer for that one breakup. Why? Because he can't deal with what has happened to him, he can't deal with a betrayal, and he can't deal with so many things. But going back to death, as you said, how do we handle? There's a family we went to and they had lost someone, and this is what the instructions of the mom were. We have lost someone, we are in pain. No one among the elders, meaning people of a certain age, at least people above 20, it was a small meeting, you must not show pain.
Yeah.
If you break down, what happens to the rest of the children? Please, if you need to cry, go in your room, cover yourself, cry, come out and walk like nothing has happened.
I agree with that.
And
no, I don't agree with that.
And that's how they moved. You'd
And
think
that's how men have
everything
always
is
been,
okay,
You
but
guys.
that's how the whole thing
Listen,
moved.
We are not agreeing with the whole,
Yeah, let me tell you. I think that's very. I don't know. It's putting on a facade and it's pretentious. I really think that we need to allow for raw emotion. I'm not talking about this drama. Sometimes when in some of our cultures, where when you lose someone and then they even hire more, the
professional
criers, and they come and there's all this drama. I lost my grand uncle once, and I was walking to my grand uncle's place, and there's this chick. She was greeting people in the village, hey, whatever. And then and then when she was turning the corner, she changed her dress and ran, that's all drama. That's what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about allowing to feel something. Because there is a reason why we have tears. There is a reason why God allowed us to have these mechanisms. So look, you let it out. From a biblical perspective, Peter, I think when you actually read the Bible, you will find that when people lost someone, they actually mourned.
Yes,
David, he was a general. He was the bravest guy that Israel ever had. He was their king. He was their champion. He killed Goliath. He built an army. But man, when the guy lost his baby, the guy wept like there was no tomorrow.
But Chris, on the flip,
and that's the point.
On the flip side,
men need to cry at some point.
On the flip side,
men
are supposed to be a tower of strength. Okay.
Yeah.
They are meant to be that pillar that everybody leans on.
Yeah.
Especially in a time of grief. Now, if you as the man are the one who is wailing, okay, what are the children supposed
your wife to do?
Yes.
What is your wife going to do? What are your children going to do?
Chris,
This is not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you go like.
There's a reason
talking about
behind
that.
There's a reason behind that tradition of men should not be seen.
The way you're going to start wailing.
And
now,
You're
you know.
losing in the meantime. You need to deal with the pain of losing at the
Chris,
table.
and that's
Yeah.
why I
One
agreed.
more.
That's why I understood the lady when she said, "Please, guys, let's be strong. If you need to show that emotion, go and hide yourself and cry, but do it alone. But be the pillar for the people, the young ones who are not going to be able." That's why I understood her the angle.
No,
which she was
guys,
taking.
I think we're probably talking cross point here, and let me tell you why. Are we saying that men should not cry at all?
No.
Peter has a
You
double
should,
shot.
you should control your emotions.
Yeah?
What-
Men should
Are we
control
saying
their
we should show our emotions?
What we are saying is this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, men have emotions. We're not refuting that men don't have emotions. Men do have emotions.
Yeah.
But there was a reason behind that character of, you know, men should not be seen crying. It shows strength.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Can I tell you something?
It shows
Let me tell
strength.
you something. I've just given you an example of King David, and I'll show you. I've seen men in my life who he's the tough. Do you know those guys who are tough? They're tough. Wait, let me finish. Tough like nuts. He's this uncle who everyone fears and all that stuff. And then he hits his third. Whatever. But that doesn't. But he doesn't lose toughness. Right? You know men who cry.
Have you ever seen a man crying?
Have you seen guys
sounds
wailing for
bad.
injections?
No, but
It's so bad.
He may not make
ugly.
sound, but he can.
You know,
That's the man's way of
let me-
crying.
The first
No
time-
sound. There
the
should not
first
be
time
sound.
I cried in front of my dad. And my dad would get so annoyed if he saw me crying. He would tell me, why are you crying? And you know, for the longest time, if you feel crying, I'd rather go somewhere and shout.
You should
I-
ask your
no,
mom
but just
because
wait.
she's seen him crying in the bedroom.
but you see-
Those broke days and what?
no, but you see, that's the
I
point.
hate men
I
crying.
mean, isn't there a time and a place for everything?
Yes.
Where, all right, as a man, you can release your emotions, fair enough. But where do you do it? Are you going to break down in front of your children? Are you going to break down in front of your wife? Or are you going to go somewhere, release your emotions, then come back?
Now, you see, that's a different conversation. You see, imagine if a country is attacked and the president gets onto the national TV.
Oh, we are
These
being...
guys who've attacked us, they've killed 2 soldiers.
Exactly.
And then he starts crying. That's not a good picture for the country, right?
Exactly.
But what I am saying is that when you are raising a family, and because you see, this is a conditioning. My dad did not beat me for crying. Yours did.
No,
I'm just saying.
Don't
I'm just saying.
For me, my dad just
My-
looked at you and you stopped crying.
No,
man.
what
He
I'm
didn't even
saying-
need to.
You know what to do with
So
that.
listen, my dad is a man.
Yeah.
He didn't look at me like yours did. He didn't threaten me like yours did. Matter of fact, in our family, we allow emotion. We celebrate. I mean, our family, we can party.
Yeah.
All right? And when it's sad, we can get sad.
Okay.
And when it's a time for a fight, we fight. That's how we are. We're people of passion. Right? So for me, I come from a place where you can show your emotion.
All right, but
No.
Yeah.
I'm not, like I've said, and I've kept on demonstrating, I'm not talking about men going boo-ha, boo-ha, boo-ha in public, no. But I mean, sometimes you've lost somebody, and do you know why? Say, for example, when Obama lost his was it his grandma or granddad?
Grandmother. His grandmother.
And he had these shades on and all that. He's standing for president. He has to be voted by a whole nation. But he has these shades. Why? Because there are tears flowing in the guy's eyes.
No, a guy
but
can show
just-
vulnerability.
but hold on.
But don't.
So what's the problem with
Don't go and cry in front of other
No,
men.
but what do you mean crying?
Okay, hold on, guys.
Tears?
Before you end up meeting him and he cries. I mean, Billy,
Yes.
is there any other? Because basically, what I'm picking from here is the only emotion guys have is tears. Is there any other way a guy can show his emotions and deal with a loss?
Is there a bad way?
Listen, me, I believe
way.
when someone loses someone they care about, I agree to a certain period where if you need to drink, if that is your way, yes. If you need to drink, drink.
And that's the problem.
If you need to talk to a friend, if your way of dealing with issues is surrounding yourself with people who care about you, do it. If your way of dealing with emotions is traveling and staying in different
What
places,
if
do
my
it.
way of dealing with emotions is by sleeping with different women?
There you go. According to Bill's prescription, do it.
For me, I agree and I accept that when someone has lost, no, I agree when someone has lost someone they care about, no one can relate to that pain. No one, whatever you say, be a friend or something, it's only that person who will be able to deal with what's
But
going
Bill,
on.
Bill,
Yes, me,
let's
I
be
believe,
serious,
do what
yeah.
you have to do to get over that issue.
And that's where we have a problem.
But is there a time frame?
That's what I'm saying, in a specific period of time.
So
do
what's
what
a
you have to
specific
do.
time?
to get over what you have to
So
get
you know,
over.
you know what he's saying to people here? He's saying, kill yourself so you follow that person's path. I mean, look,
that's not what I'm saying.
Drink all you want, drink and drive. Go sleep around with
Why
everybody.
everybody wants to remember? I didn't say drink and drive.
I mean, just
I mean, if you
drink.
need to go to a bar and take 5 shots,
If you need to
and
buy
numb
5
yourself,
prostitutes, do it.
numb yourself.
No, but
Within the perimeters, of course, there are consequences to every action. Within reasonable perimeters, let me add that fine.
I'll tell
But
you what,
do what you have to do to get over the pain.
I'll tell you what, I'm having a problem with that, and I'll tell you why. Because definitely we all deal with issues in a completely different
Exactly.
way. There are some people who, and sometimes the way we deal with issues are not exactly the right way. And I think it's the same thing even for crying. It may be how you deal with it, but it may not necessarily be the right way. Because you're showing weakness at a time when you need to be showing strength. You gave the perfect example. A country's been attacked. Everybody's looking at the head of state. They expect strength. It doesn't matter how painful it is for him. They expect strength. So even as a man, as the head of a home, as the head of a family, because sometimes you may not necessarily be the head of a home by default in terms of the fact that you are a father, but you can be like
But Peter,
You're a man.
let me ask, do we think that we have, as men, we have a more common problem
than women.
of breaking
Dealing
down
with
in
pain.
public, or we have a more common problem of not knowing how to deal with the pain,
Yeah.
and we suck it in for so long, and we implode
Yes.
and start doing this Billy stuff that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Why are you calling it Billy
that's
stuff?
true.
I mean, it's you who brought it up.
Yeah.
Peter,
I think that's the more common problem in this country, in Uganda. The more common problem is that men do not know how to process pain because we've been conditioned to suck it in, and then we start doing crazy stuff and go off the wheel.
And blame
Chris,
it on
Chris, I totally
That's the
agree.
problem.
I agree with you on that. But you see, the thing is, we also have to balance. When someone has lost someone, there's what the society expects.
Yeah.
Peter has lost someone. Some of us expect Peter to say, okay, fine, if he has lost a very dear one, maybe he's going to behave in a certain way, and he should be able to get over it in a certain way. That's not, you expect, your expectations are put on that person. That's why when I tell you that do what you have to do to get over it, because people behave differently. There will be a time when someone will just shut down, and to you think, this is not right, please get out of the house, please do this. But this person needs
Do you know,
that period.
in a way, I actually agree with Billy, and I'll tell you why. Because the reality is, there's no standard way of dealing with issues.
No, but
Everybody has their own way to
Yes.
deal with
I
it.
feel like today's guys deal with pain differently. The people I grew up with, the people that come from my era.
Just hold on. Now, you're going to have to tell us about that as soon as we get back from the break. Now, we're here at the Pearl of Africa
That's
Hotel
Peter.
talking about men dealing with pain, especially the pain of losing a loved one. Now, don't forget, this is your show. We want to hear from you. Go to our Facebook page, like it, engage in the discussions that are going on there. Also, don't forget your favorite, hashtag NTV Men. We'll be right back after the break. Welcome back from the break. In case you've just joined us, you are just in time to get the last part of our show. And don't forget, this is your favorite show. It's called Men, the one show that makes your Wednesday night different. And also nowadays, your Saturday night too. Now, we are here talking about losing a loved one and how do you handle it. So, Stefan, you were telling us about modern methods.
I was telling you about the modern man, not the man that grew up in my era. But today's guy, I've seen guys crying for mere things as, proposing to women. I've seen guys crying for mere things, getting a child. I've actually seen this, and
What, they get a child and cry?
Yeah, they cry. I've seen it. Like someone proposing, kneeling down, and is crying. So does it mean like men are becoming softer?
All right, can I tell you what? I come from the school of thought that, first of all, men are not as tough as they used to be. Men are becoming more
Weak.
Emotionally weak. And however, there's the factor that I believe we no longer have support systems. You see, before when guys were growing up, you had your peers, your age group, who you'd grow up with. The other day I was having a chat with somebody and I was telling him, one of the challenges that we face as men is we don't have a peer support structure.
Sure.
And that is why we have in a situation where you get married, all right? your friends are not married, then they're still running around going to bars and stuff, then you start following them there, then you end up in troubles in your marriage. Yet before, you'd all stop going to the bars together, you'd all go have kids days together. So as I conclude, where there's a support structure, especially when men are grieving, if you have your guys around you to provide the strength, because again, we said we're talking about emotions. It's not physical, it's something soft. But if you've got your fellow men around you who can support you, who can be there for you financially, because usually when somebody dies, let's be honest, that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
You're like, how am I going to pay for all this?
No, that's one of the issues.
Yeah, one of the issues. And then also emotionally, to be there with you. I mean, they will take care of you if you're the kind of guy like Billy. If you go and run to the bar,
like a fish.
yeah, they'll come and tell
Give you the beer.
They'll say,
I'll take you back home.
Yeah,
safe.
they'll-
they'll say
yes.
you do too.
yeah,
Fine.
but they'll make sure you get home safe. They won't
Yeah.
let you drink.
Yes.
They will not let you pick up other people along the way, because that support system is there.
And you see, just a second,
Yeah.
Where I agree with Peter is that men have been left in the. I believe society has left men in the wind for a lot
Fend
of
for
things.
themselves, yeah.
Because when people are getting married, the ladies have a singer, our big auntie or something, who let them know what marriage is, what you should expect. Where have you had a man having this lecture of, you know what, you're going to get married, this is what's going to happen? We don't have that. We're being left out completely. No one gives you advice when you're getting married on what to do. Your peers are not married. You're basically doing things.
It's Monday.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. We have been left.
Guys, let me say something.
Just-
I don't think that what we are discussing here is whether men need a support system or not.
It's part of it.
It's
part of the grieving process.
I really think that whether you are mourning or not, but that's a cool shot. Yeah, I mean,
Is it his
yeah,
shot?
he's losing.
No, it's my shot. He potted my ball.
But yours went in too.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
He potted mine first.
So what are the rules?
The
Sorry.
rules are you
lose.
well, I think
I let you.
There's pain coming. No, but Peter, here's the thing. I totally agree that in some ways, I mean, like in terms of another conversation, really, that I think we need to have one of these days, is for men to actually have a proper support system, right? Friends, like who are real friends, because that's something that's dying out.
Yes.
Something of a reality these days, right? Now, that fact being agreed on, right? I think that in terms of processing pain, it's almost like a precondition how men process pain. It's a little like how we deal with healthcare. So we don't have healthy lifestyles most of the time.
Yeah.
We have a health plan.
Yeah.
You know that if I get unwell, I will go to AAR or whatever it is, IHK, whatever all these places, Mango, or if you're a shaker of those things, you go, if you're a prayer, you pray.
Why are you pointing?
I don't know. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
No, I sleep it. I sleep it off. Yeah.
But really, the thing is that we all refer to the plan we have. And I keep saying that most things that are important in life are decided well before they actually happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that every man watching this show needs to think through, how do you process pain? What decisions are you going to make or have you made?
No, what
So
I want
for example, wait. So for example, from our conversation so far, Stefan has been conditioned to suck it in.
True.
Yeah.
And he agreed with his dad that he will suck it in. Every time pain comes, he's going to suck it in.
But I agree with what you say.
Yeah, and the people who suck it in have got their
Explode.
game plan
Yeah.
on how the suckers in deal with sucking it in. Now, if your decision is that you will let it out, you also have a strategy about dealing with that. Because I have seen men cry and they don't lose their marbles and they don't lose their respect from their wives or their kids or the society. Right?
Depends on which society.
No,
This Ugandan society. Because like I said, I don't want to mention the Prime Minister, former Prime Minister, because I don't have his permission. We have a couple who are still alive. But one of them, I think he was crying in public. But there was no loss of respect. And in fact, he still went on to, you know.
And that's why.
So my
Peter,
point.
We have a problem with men, today's men.
We need to make a decision. And by the way, that thing you're going on about today's men, you
Today's
forget it.
men.
You know,
too feminine.
he's usually the millennial guy.
I'm not a millennial.
And today he's switching.
I know,
on the
I know.
guys,
I know.
I have a time now.
throwing them under the bus.
Listen. You know, and I think one of the reasons, partly a reason for men being, you know, feminine today is because, you know, we have single women.
Feminine? Did you say that?
Yeah.
I think I'm taking over this game. Which is his role? What is his color? I'm taking over
other
this.
spots.
We have single.
Try any.
Let me see. Let me try to see how this works.
Raising, you know, and mentoring
Woo!
young boys.
But you know what? He's in as much as I usually don't agree with Stefan, what he has said actually carries a lot of weight. We are talking about how men deal with pain. Who is supposed to teach men how to deal with pain if not men? Now the problem, and I think that's something for all of us out there to think about, is if a lot more men are abdicating their duty to raise these boys into young men, then who's going to teach them? If they're being raised by their mothers, they're going to be taught how to deal with pain the way women do. Okay.
But you see, there's another angle which I was listening to a stand-up by Dave Chappelle, and he made a very interesting point about today's society. He said we're living in an era of spin, an era where we don't know what to care about what. Because if you do recall, back in the day when you were younger, when someone died, it was a big issue. As in, people would come together, the society, the world would stop.
Yeah.
To some families and all over the place. Now with social media, today you're seeing someone has died today. People are sharing people's casket pictures, which I find very, very annoying. Like, why would you do that? People don't know what to care about anymore. So we're also in an era where there's so much going on, and because of too much information, but people don't even know how to deal with.
Let me bring in an angle that we may have ignored for a bit. And here's the angle. Back in the day when society was about men hunting and men going out to war,
True.
it was not cool to show pain or emotion, especially if you're hurt, because you got to show that you're strong enough to kill a lion, you're strong enough to go out in battle. You had to show that you are brave. Because that was primarily how you lived life, right? It's hunting or war, all right? Now we're living in a society where a computer geek makes more money than the guy who pushes a wheelbarrow. So being macho, like on the outside, is no longer the cool thing. Okay, because of the roles and the different things that we play in society. You'll find, I mean, like, there's different body sizes on this set today. Wide chests and small ones. People with muscle and some of us who don't. People with bellies going out and some of us who don't. What I'm saying, don't suck it. He's breathing. He's breathing.
Why talk about our one box?
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. So you'll find that there are ladies who appreciate different sizes of guys. The ladies who cannot stand a six-pack guy with muscle all over the place because they're like, that's not cool.
I can bet you.
And they're there, and there are others who want muscle.
Chris, I can bet you that the ladies who are listening right now, I'd really want to hear from a lady. You know, would they be, what would be their reaction
to a man who cries
compared to a guy who succeeded? You know?
Do you know what some ladies would say? You know when he cries and he shows that emotion.
I'm sure that he loves
I know he's genuine.
Yes,
he's
honest. True.
I love men like that.
I'll tell you what,
and there are some who don't like it at all.
No, but in all honesty, and I think that one I'll leave it to what you call it, to them. But I think Chris would prefer the one who succeeded. To shed a few tears is okay, it's understandable. And we need to do that. However, the good thing is that Colin is not on the show today. So we can be able to end and wrap up without him whining, saying, why have we come to the end of the show? So, Bill, your parting shot. And in it, I'd just like you to offer some advice. How can men deal with losing a loved one?
First of all, I'd like to say that losing a loved one is a very, very devastating. I've gone through it. It's not funny. And unfortunately, some people don't have a support system. You know, my family, we like cracking jokes. I have friends where we laugh at everything, bad or good.
Yeah.
We try to lighten the moment. And part of my way of dealing with issues in life has been, my mom calls me a joker, is because most times when she tells me a serious issue, I make light of the situation because it has come and has, but that's my way of dealing with it. Mm-hmm. But society, I think, should understand that, you know what, if X has lost someone and they may go off the rail. That's what I was trying to say. You may not necessarily be that person who's going to follow the strict rules, or maybe I'm going to mourn, someone may get drunk, someone may lose themselves. We should not judge that person. We should try to just create a barrier around them and try to bring them back to society. But as men, we should learn to show emotion. I also agree with Chris that with Stefan, that we could not, maybe won't go in public and wail or do something. Yeah. But if you need to cry, there are people you can sit with, your friends you sit with, and you break down and they'll understand and you move on. So men should learn to deal with the pain in the best way they can, but society should also learn to understand that people feel pain differently, and also understand that someone's going through this. Can we try to accommodate them more than how can he do that? I know he has lost someone, but how can he do that? Yeah. Let's try to understand in the context that it is and let the person heal the best way they know how.
All right, great stuff. Chris, your parting shot.
I think mine is pretty simple. Mm-hmm. I think that the quickest way for anyone to process pain, especially of losing someone, is to mourn. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why that word is in the English dictionary.
Yeah.
You mourn. Okay. How you mourn is up to your upbringing, preference, and all that. But for goodness sake, mourn. Yeah. Because it's the quickest way to get over it. Mm-hmm. All right. So in my opinion, I think that if mourning to you means wailing, do it. I mean, for crying out loud, the shortest verse in the Bible is Jesus wept.
So
weeping is not like,
the shortest.
Yeah, it's the shortest verse. When Lazarus died, Jesus wept. It's like, bah! Jesus did that.
He didn't. We don't know that for sure. We know he wept. So
right. I mean, weeping is not. Give me a back room. I need to put my stuff in order. No, he wept. Okay. Yeah. So if you need to weep, weep. And when you're done, move on. Pick up a fight if you have to with something that's serious. Go conquer the world. I think warriors and heroes break down sometimes, and there is no loss in it. There is no shame in it. Mourn. It's the quickest way to get the pain out.
Great stuff. Stefan.
I think I start by saying that men do not cry. And then after saying that, I contradict myself by saying that, at the end of the day, as a guy, you need to have an avenue to let go. Like you said, you need to have a support system. Back in the day, you'd have your uncles around, you'd have your brothers, you'd have your friends, and I feel like today men don't know how to handle this. But at the end of the day, you should have an avenue where you can just let go, because eventually, when it comes out, it will be a different ball game. There is no distinct way of mourning. There's no distinct way of dealing with pain. But at the end of the day, you should just find a way of dealing with it.
Yeah. Right. So you've heard it from the men tonight. If you are in a position where you've lost a loved one, mine to you is just to say, nobody knows your pain except you. However, a support system is very important. So it's upon us to support each other, especially as men. Let's come together and let's work together. This has been your favorite show, and it's called NTV Men. We've been talking about how to deal with losing a loved one. From all of us here at the Pearl of Africa Hotel, have a good night and God bless.
You're losing, by the way.
No, not. I'm going to take over with this.